everybody. What a day. I'm here. Amy's here. How are you,
Hello.
sweets? Looking good. Is that, let me see your shirt. Stand up. Yeah, that's the one you were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, this is the one I wore at my mom's
that's-
house when she told me no politics.
Yeah, that one's going to be a problem. So it's JD Vance there. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Garrett is here as well. He's behind the scenes as our engineer. Thank you for being here. Greg Henson's supposed to be here. Talked to him earlier. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably trying to impress you, Amy, and getting all dolled up, shining his head.
I have a prediction that he's going to say it involves his dog and a dog park.
Yep.
That's going to be my guess. Some kind of traffic, maybe the result of a flood, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's irritating to me because Greg knows better. Greg understands, as someone who has spent his entire career in radio, he understands like show start times. They're not negotiable. They just aren't.
Right.
They're not like I understand this is a podcast world. It's different, but he should be hardwired to understand like, no, when like if it's 6 o'clock, the Drew and Mike show 6 to 10, that intro fired at 5:57 on the nose, regardless. Like there were times when Mark and I would push the envelope a little bit. We'd want to play a best of bit in that 5:30 to 6 range. And Drew, that was like the only thing that could piss him off is it was like, dude, it's 5:59. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like he wouldn't talk to us like that, but
right.
Like, no. And there was one time it was like, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, oh, this is going to go like 10 minutes over. And Drew's like, dump out of it. Fucking mid-sentence, fire the intro. No.
Yeah.
There's a hard in and a hard, not really a hard out. So Henson, it's inexcusable unless he's, on the side of the road, buried in his own feces and mud. That would be okay. Then it's like, well, all right, we'll give it to him there.
Guess we'll give you this one.
So I wanted to have him and you on to go over kind of last night's events. And we will do that. There's so much. These are the most confusing and difficult shows, in my opinion, is trying to remember everything. There's just so much that it gets kind of hard. But while the worst thing we can do is get halfway through it and then dipshit shows up and it's like, oh God, now we were talking about this. And so I figured, are you familiar with Mr. Reagan and his fine work? Not the president.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. On X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, his videos are so good. Like his production videos, and I don't know what he's using AI or if he's what he's using to make. So he's obviously using AI to get the voices right, which is just incredible. The art of having to like do an impression, like those days are get close over. Like you can get AI to do this shit now, and it's like, oh, I can have this personality say whatever I want and it's spot on, but he's getting
it's scary.
It's insane. But he's getting the lips and everything to work. Like I don't know what he's doing, but it's really good. And earlier this week, or maybe it was the end of last week, he dropped a new one after it was announced that Joy Reid was blown out at MSNBC. And did you see this by chance?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. He's like, okay, so this is Joy Reid's final episode if she was an honest person. And I'm like, dude, this is so good. But go ahead, Garrett.
Joy Reid's final episode if she were honest.
Mr. Reagan.
Good evening. As you all know, this is my final episode. And I know you're probably cheering at the news of my firing. But here's the dirty little secret. Being a nasty, racist bitch was my f***ing job. Smug? Check. Insufferable? Check. Sanctimonious? Oh, hell yes. Like a vegan at KFC. Wrong? Oh, I was all kinds of wrong. I was more wrong than a Joy Behar OnlyFans page. That was the whole point. To lie, gaslight, and make you question if your own was real. But none of it f***ing worked. I tried to amplify Hillary, Biden, Kamala, but the only thing I amplified was my bank account. MSNBC paid me millions to on Whitey, and I'd do it again faster than you can say, unburdened by what has been. Look, I know you white people aren't actually evil. Hell, everything I have was given to me by white people. So why for 8 years did I tell people you're evil? Because that pays, and it pays very well. MSNBC paid me millions of dollars to brainwash gullible Americans. We have a philosophy here at MSNBC. Dumb people are going to believe somebody's bullshit, so it might as well be ours. Look, the deep state needed me. If you can divide America, you can control America. So that was my job, convincing American voters that Republicans are racist. And to convince voters that Republicans were racist, I had to be racist myself. And it's fun being a nasty racist bitch. Just hating white people for being white and getting paid for it, that shit's addictive as fuck. Racism is better than crack, trust me, I know. Racism's the ultimate cheat code. Didn't get promoted? Racism. Unpopular on Twitter? Racism. Can't swim? Racism. It's the Swiss Army knife of excuses. So, yeah, it's fun to hate you guys. But now MSNBC stopped paying, so here's the truth. Trump's f***ing awesome. Trump had the balls to finally deport illegal aliens. Adios, muchachos. He's done away with the 10,000 genders bullshit. You got birthright citizenship, you got terrorists, you got the border, and Trump is in the process of turning the federal bureaucracy into a fine red mist. So I'm trading in my Trump wig for a MAGA hat and crawling over to Newsmax before those bitches from The View beat me to it. To everyone who watched me over the years, who let me into their homes night after night, who trusted me, let me just say, what the f*** were you thinking? How could you have possibly believed any of that? Some nights they would give me the script and I'd be like, there's no way anyone's gonna buy this bullshit. And yet you did. You should have listened to the MAGA people. You got played. Good night and good f***ing luck.
Isn't that fantastic?
Awesome. Love that.
It's too good. Yeah, he has to put parody on there now. I believe that's because of the Gavin Newsom law in California.
Oh, of course.
I think that's what it is. So, trying to ban something like that, it's insane. It's insane.
That is funny, though.
Yeah, it's great. He's doing great work. I recommend checking out his other videos on YouTube is where I first found him, Mr. Reagan. There's some great ones. We've played a couple. I'm trying to think what they were, but we've played a couple over the last year or so. He kind of came out of nowhere, but just kind of shows you where this is all going with the AI stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
Ames, I see
Yeah,
you
it's great.
yawning. I'm assuming you were up late last night.
I was, yes. Please take no offense to me yawning. I was up
I never
late.
do.
Up late, had to get up early and spend a whole day at a conference, which was super fun. So, but yes, I was up late, watched all of it, and then I kept watching like people's commentary on YouTube and stuff. So I watched it like over and over.
Yeah. I had so much fun on X last night.
Dude, me too.
On Twitter. It was so great. Just, so many opportunities to post stuff. And we'll get into kind of the weeds about it. I thought the intro was great with Jasmine Crockett. Just showing, I honestly don't know who this is for. I'm guessing Jasmine Crockett is trying to be like the newest, latest and greatest race baiter and like going that angle. Like they've chosen, how do you separate yourself and make a name for yourself in a crowded field of dipshits on the right or left? Okay. So you can either be one of those kind of nameless, faceless people that never gets the MSNBC or the CNN or the Fox hit.
Yeah.
Or you can be like AOC and be like, oh my God, I'm on Insta. Like that angle.
She's like the Marjorie. I always think Marjorie Traylor Greene just because of Drew's show, but her or like Nancy
Lauren Boebert
Mace.
or
Just kind of like over the top. Like I like Nancy Mace, but she kind of bugs me. Like she goes like kind of too far with things. Not in her thought process, but just like kind of beating a dead horse. Like, okay, we get it. You don't want, you're the dude in the bathroom. But then there was kind of, she was like always making tweets about, I don't know. She was like just over the top. And I kind of see Jasmine Crockett the same way.
Yeah. So Jasmine Crockett put out a video, and this is on the heels of, I don't know what it ended up being, 22, or if that was when we were talking about it yesterday, 22 Dem senators put that ridiculous, like right out of 1984 propaganda video where they all said the same thing.
Yeah.
Just like level of embarrassment. I don't know. And people trying to defend it. Like it's shocking to me in its arrogance and old school nature too, really is what I see. But Jasmine's going to step it up a bit, you know? Do you have the video there, Garrett? Yeah, this one.
Get it on the floor. You really about to do it? 40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. They get on it like that. Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like fuck.
Oh.
Mustard on a beat, bro. Beat, bro. Any rap, he a freak, though. Man down, call like Ember Lambs. Tell them breathe. Let them boys to the cross, they walk around like G's. What's up with these?
Okay.
That is so cringy.
It's so cringy. It's worse than the NFL players and the dance because I know they practiced it.
Yeah.
Like you're in the halls of Congress and you went through that routine with the two other girls to like lip sync that and then get your dance choreography.
Right.
Like seriously, what is that? Someone needs to explain to me. Like what that is. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, it's just like a TikTok dance, you know? Like, and she's just trying to be hip and cool, and she's not. And she kind of like she acts like as if she like came from that area and she like had this like upbringing that was rough and tough, and she identifies with you know the people who are listening to Kendrick Lamar. And I mean, she you know was going to private schools and like had a fine upbringing. I think she's I don't know if she's a lawyer or not.
Yeah.
She is.
And I'm shocked by it.
So I mean, like
yeah, she's one of those like 20.
It's just so fake. It's so disingenuous. Yeah,
this idea of Whitey got all the advantages. When you look at her background, if you do any sort of research on it, you'll find that she was going to $20,000 a year private schools and shit her whole life.
Yeah.
But is she from? I noticed she's in Texas as a rep.
Texas,
but is she from there? I thought she was a California person,
so.
But I don't know. Not that it.
Yeah, pretty sure she's from Texas.
Not that it matters, but it's just so. I don't know. I know. It seems like we're.
Oh well, she was born in Missouri,
okay.
And she went to some private schools in St. Louis, and she went to University of Houston Law. So that's how she got into Texas.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just so weird to me. We're all trying to adapt to this new world that we're seeing with these people. Like, you notice all of them now have to be cool and swear. This shit's all a lie.
Yeah, I mean, you're not their market.
No, yeah,
right. Like and they've abandoned anybody that's like over the age of 30. They're like looking for the TikTok crowd, and like I've got to do the popular TikTok dances and get going viral on TikTok so that newer generations are going to start voting for me. That's who they're doing all that for. They don't give a shit about me or you or
no. I understand that with like AOC, for instance, and it's like she's going to do the filmed in landscape mode. I'm just going to set the phone here and do TikTok video. Like, okay, I get that. What I don't get is trying to rope in Chuck Schumer to do it. Like,
no, it's
I'm going to hold the mic here and I'm going to do it in landscape mode. And I'm going to like, dude, what are you doing? And I thought the same thing with like, okay, when you're trying to figure out a defense for Trump, when it was all these guys, it's like, hey, Marco, no, you can't try to go toe to toe. Like, just be you, be authentic, and let him do what he does. But when you try to get in and do that, it always comes off wrong. It always comes off super cringe. Like,
it totally does. And it's like, why not divide and conquer? Jasmine Crockett, you go after the younger people. She's younger, she's attractive. Chuck Schumer, stay the fuck off of TikTok. Go talk to whoever. Go talk to the old people. And that's your crowd. Nobody's looking for Chuck Schumer on TikTok.
No.
Okay.
No, it's just, it's mind blowing to me. What were your initial thoughts last night. It was
I
the
loved it.
address
Night.
to Congress.
Yes.
State of the Union. I don't really know what the difference is. I guess the fact that it was earlier.
Yeah.
It's basically a State of the
Okay.
Union, but usually that's a couple months
Yeah.
in or so that's kind of the difference.
Yeah.
But it's basically a State of the Union.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a designated survivor.
yes, I saw that. Was it Doug?
Yes.
Doug Collins?
Yep. It was Doug. Yep. Doug Collins was the one picked to represent us all in the event of an emergency. So I just feel like that is a position that deserves some more like people need to know about that.
The
like,
role exists?
who are you picking?
You mean?
Yeah, and like who's being picked? Like, what if you're just picking some schmo who something happens and you're the one that's going to lead us out of it? And you were the dude that was dispensable at the
Well,
speech.
it's usually like somewhere deep in the succession line. Like Doug Collins is like 15th or 16th. And so you think of like, oh my God, if the unthinkable happened, you'd have like, so what? If the unthinkable happened and say you wiped out the top two, I think the designated survivor assumes that position, or would it go to the third?
Yeah. No, but they're all there in that room. Idea is, God forbid somebody attacks that entire room and all of our politicians are gone. He's the one that's left.
God. That seems like a bad movie script. Like we see that.
It was a show.
Right. But it would have to be a nuclear bomb on.
Or
like
just
if
a
you were
bomb. Or they flew a plane into it. I don't know. But
yeah,
it's just
I guess.
it's very rare that you get every single elected politician. There were a lot of Supreme Court justices. You're getting all of those people who are not usually together in one room. It's why the president and the vice president can't ever fly together.
Right.
Everybody
Which
is
makes
always
sense. I get that one.
Yeah. This is a situation where 1 through 14 are in that room. So 15 is like, you're up if something happens to all these people. Now, if something happened and 13 was still alive, it would probably go to 13. But he's like the one, if God forbid something were to happen to everybody.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it seems to me like that should be like number 4 is just designated to be in there, because you got 1, 2, and 3 on the stage. Whoever 4 is, put them in the designated survivor. I just don't know that we should be putting 15 in there. You know what I mean?
There's so many weird little rules that most people have no idea about, including myself. But I remember it might have been Trump the first time around. It was like, well, if something happens, like it wasn't about like an assassination, but it was about he obviously stole the election in 2016. And so if that gets litigated to some point, it doesn't go to the vice president. It would go to Nancy. And so there was talk like Nancy Pelosi would be, and you're like, wait a minute, how did you go against what people voted for? And now you go to Nancy Pelosi. How the hell did that happen? Like there's all kinds of weird things. So this is just another one of those that probably nobody has any idea about.
No, I was informing people about it all at my conference that the designated survivor was a real thing. And I didn't know about it until I watched the show and I was like, I wonder if this is a real thing. And I Googled it. I'm like, okay, it makes sense,
Yeah. After we talked about it yesterday, I Googled it after the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
and
Doug Collins.
Look back and you can look back and see who the past months have been. I feel
really
God, I feel, who is that that black doctor from the Detroit area?
Oh, Ben Carson?
I feel like Ben Carson was the designated survivor one time. Was he in Trump's first cabinet?
Yeah, he was the HUD secretary.
Okay, I think he was the designated survivor during one of the State of the Unions.
Yeah. I wonder if it changes every time, because
it does. They nominate somebody different every time.
Okay, so it's Doug Collins isn't going to do it for this whole term. Okay.
Correct. If he makes himself more valuable, he gets to sit in the room.
I wonder if he's rooting for that the whole time. Like, this would be so amazing. Like,
yeah.
Finally, my chance to assume power, you know? Like, it's just
Right.
crazy. Why don't we
Right.
play the clip of Trump talking about nothing I can say? I thought that was really
like
telling.
this one.
We've all kind of talked about this a lot, but it was kind of early in his speech last night, and he's 100% right. It's sad that we're there. But do you have that one, Garrett?
Yeah, I get it right now.
He had a lot of good lines. I love this speech from him. I thought he did a great job. I thought his tone was good.
Yeah.
Yep. He makes me laugh.
Get the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is...
That is an absolute fact. It's sad that what are they groaning for? That's a factual statement, and they proved him 100% right last night.
I saw a tweet from Matt Walsh today that said it didn't come through very clear on the TV, but that groaning was happening the entire time.
Really?
He said it did not stop. Like, they were heckling him and doing that bullshit the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible.
They're so immature.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Because at some point, and listen, I can be petty spaghetti. Don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, if somebody really pisses me off, but it's gotta be something like with my family. Okay. Like, it's not, but at some point as an adult, you learn that you get further being an adult and being mature and being respectful, as hard as it can be. And boy, can it be hard. Sometimes you have to walk away for a minute, come back with a cooler head, and be an adult and be the bigger person. And I don't understand how none of the Democrats get that lesson, have had that lesson. Like, they all act like children.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't either. It's sad because it's not going to stop. And his point is so true. We've talked about this guy could cure cancer, and they'd act like, they'd have some argument against it. I just don't understand. Laken Riley's family is there. Ugh. And they're not capable of acknowledging this one. You've got a girl, Laken Riley's the Georgia student, right?
Yep.
Out for a jog. And if you watch the video, it's closed captioned, and you see this guy casing a Venezuelan illegal or gang member, whatever he is.
Yep.
And you see this girl, like every one of our sisters, every one of our moms and our friends have done, out for a jog, doing what's right. She's studying, and she's out for a jog, and you see this guy come, like, it's the thing of horror movies.
Yeah.
Horror movies. Imagine, it's not something guys deal with typically. It's not a thought. Like, I've talked to girls, and it's like, you don't realize the privilege you have. And I'm like rolling my eyes at the concept of, we have it so easy. But it's true that I used to go all the time when I was growing up, and I'd moved from Livonia to Farmington Hills, and I'm in high school, and I would go out as a junior at 1:00 in the morning. That was when I liked to go walking and running. And I would go through the woods. I'd have my Walkman on, my Sony Walkman back at the time. I'd put those headphones on, and I'd be in, like, all through the area. And I'd just go for, like, one thought that never, like, I could trip on a log in the woods and snap my ankle. It's pitch dark out. But the thought of like being attacked and raped, violated, never crossed my mind even once. My guess is, and Amy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like every girl has probably thought about stuff like that.
Yes, for sure. That is a fact. And you know, without getting into like the details, but you're obviously aware. Had an experience with somebody in my family who was taken in the middle of the day, just pumping gas. And I watch a lot of trials, and I watched the Laken Riley trial. And at some point, they showed the body cam footage of her mom and sister finding out that she was gone, and that probably affected me more than anything else that I've watched, because but for the grace of God, that could have been us. And I felt it so deep in my soul of the terror that they felt when they didn't know, and then the complete and utter heartbreak that they felt when they found out. And regardless of who did it, that happened in our country, and it's very, very sad. It's a very sad story, regardless of who you are. So the fact that you can't even get up off your fucking fat ass and stand on your feet and clap for this family who has gone through complete and utter torture because of our policies.
Yeah.
You're a horrible human. You're a horrible human. We have nothing in common.
The details too. Like, it wasn't just an illegal immigrant was in the country and debate whether or not, like, it was like, no, breaking the law.
Right.
And there was debate and like, should he be deported? And this administration just kind of had a hard, fast rule. Like, no human is illegal. And it directly led to this incident. And,
I mean, and he was in New York. He was breaking those laws in New York. New York knew that he was dangerous, and they let him get on a government-funded plane and fly to Atlanta and pick up there without any, regard for the population, to let them know, hey, this guy's a violent felon. They just let him travel freely around our country. And so, that was a mistake of that, because that wouldn't happen today. That wouldn't happen under Donald Trump. You commit a crime while you're here, especially here illegally, you're gone.
And
he wouldn't have made it to Atlanta. And I don't think that's what people don't understand. Like, he would not have made it to Atlanta if Trump was president.
Right. It's so backwards to not understand that. Like, I don't even know what your argument is. Like, it's so gross to see this family. You could see the pain on all the families there's face for their particular incident, that Trump is left cleaning this mess up and is acknowledging them, is not afraid to say their names, not afraid to call out this thug animal did this. And these people are like offended and guffawing, sitting on their hands. And I'll be honest, this is such an easy one. It's so easy. Like, you can absolutely sit on your hands, and we see it. Jay and I used to joke about all the time how just absurd it is that these toddlers, whether on the right, every time Obama says something, we're just going to sit here and not acknowledge. Like, it's gross. But there are times in those speeches when they stand up, they respect the office enough that when an entrance is made, you just do. There's certain, decorum that you have. And for these people, it's like, it didn't matter what the cause was. It didn't matter who was being acknowledged. No. And I would love to be able to come on here and go, hey, Ames, I got to be honest. I thought that was a really cool moment when when all the Democrats stood up in unison and at least acknowledged Laken Riley as a fellow human being who was probably, at her age, was probably a fucking liberal.
Although I don't know, she was journaling about how she wanted to find the perfect husband, and she wanted to be like the perfect wife, and she was very religious. So I would reckon that she was probably which is honestly probably why they don't care. If it was a minority woman, they might have cared more than they do about Laken, but she's just a white white Republicans. So, I mean, who the fuck cares, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who is not having meetings behind the scenes, whoever the leader is and is going, look, guys, when we go out there today, there's going to be a couple moments. And I know you don't want to acknowledge this monster's existence on any level. We all agree. We hate Donald Trump, but it is going to look really bad to the American public if we don't fake that we give, like, obviously we don't give a shit about anybody but ourselves.
Right.
But
right.
if we, like, for the sake of the game, at least, feign interest. You guys are all actors. You can feign like you give a shit about someone that's not you or doesn't believe exactly like you do. Like, so we can use that to our advantage. Make that a commercial. Like, Trump announces Lincoln Riley's family's here. And then all of you stand up and applaud. Like, we can use that to our advantage down the road because it's all about the game to these people. Like, who was making the executive decisions that, we're all going to behave this way? That we're all going to be
orange man bad. That's who's making. They're just so deranged. There's no reasoning with them. Like, nobody could sit them down and say that because they're so insanely broken over Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because even if you are for illegal immigration and you are pro that stance by saying, I don't like it when the people who are illegally murder somebody, that doesn't mean that you have to change your stance of being pro illegal immigration. You're not going to look like a turncoat if you come out and say, hey, if you came here illegally, you still can't murder people. It's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why it's okay. Well, we're pro this. So we can't stand for Lakin's family because somebody that we wanted to be here did something bad. We're not going to stand for her family. Like, what? I don't understand that because let me tell you, even if somebody I loved did something horrible and took the life of somebody else, I would, depending on who it was, probably still love that person. But I would also have deep, deep compassion for the victim's family, and I would express. I wouldn't be like gloating about it or ignoring their pain or their It's just so weird, and it's so weird.
Is.
I don't even understand it.
And we saw it play out time and time again last night. Officer Diller, I'm not terribly familiar with the story, but you've got a widow here with kids. Her widow, Stephanie, is there. Obviously, he's killed in the line of duty. And no reaction. This stance of you can disagree with Trump, but he's talking about ending the Ukraine war and bringing peace and stopping the killing. Like, that's the overall message. This is my entire life, the message on the left, by the way. And it's like, he's stuck going, what, you want to keep this war going for another 5 years? I guess Pocahontas does. Yeah. And, she at least clapped along and played along with it. Announcing peace in the Middle East through the Abraham Accords and starting that stone-faced. Not interested in peace in the Middle East, apparently.
No.
Like, it's
well, the one I can't wrap my mind around is, and I'm sure you probably have it on your list. I haven't looked at your videos, but the little boy who had brain cancer. Like, okay, what policy is it that is preventing you from standing for this kid who has survived brain cancer? Like, what is it? Because you're anti-police? Is that the reason?
Yeah. You're talking about DJ, a little 13-year-old kid.
DJ, okay, yes. Gosh,
as adorable as they
and
come.
I was a puddle of tears when this was happening.
Yeah, why don't we, is this the video here, Garrett? There's like a video, it's like a minute long, I think I sent you.
Yeah, I believe it's the minute 22 of Trump announcing what's happening with him.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and play that one.
Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
There he is with his dad. Black kid, by the way.
Yep.
If you're just listening to us. My guess is people all over the country were sobbing at this.
Yes.
There he is with his badge. I got my badge. Yep. I'm going to get the bad guy. I'm going to get him. Oh. I mean, it's just...
That is just...
I mean, dude, it's as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets. Yeah, you have go ahead and pause it there, Garrett. Do you have the other video? It's a tweet, and it's got his picture, and then there's a second half to it, which is it's like a 55-second video, kind of giving his story.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, okay.
He was at the Oval Office today too.
Was he?
I just saw a video of it before I hopped on here.
Nice.
Crazy.
And gave Trump a big hug.
Mom,
that's hilarious.
but you know the craziest part? Because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together, and out of nowhere I locked up, and then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing, and he said stop playing with me, and I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow, and then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital, and then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, "No, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight." Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out, and that's when God calls you home. You never know.
He speaks like a 40-year-old blue-collar worker.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. Yeah. I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
And there's his mistake. I want to thank President Trump. It's unbelievable to look at something like that. And like, that's a 13-year-old child with brain cancer. I mean,
right.
you have to be so sick to look at that and just be like, what? No.
How do you explain to your son that half of a room of grown-ups didn't stand for you? How do you explain that?
That kid's, it's got to be confusing as shit.
Right. How can you comprehend that adults have so much hatred and that it would make them act that way? Like, I don't know how you comprehend that as a kid, honestly, until you see that. And now, it's so gross. That one pissed me off more than, I think there was one Democrat that stood. I saw it on X, but it's just so gross. It's so gross.
It's inexcusable. Honestly, I took great offense years ago. I took shit for it too. There were people that reached out and were like, "Oh, get over it," with Nancy Pelosi tearing up the State of the Union speech. And I found it just really, really personally offensive. Mm-hmm. Like that broke something that
decorum.
Yeah, it just broke something on a different level. But that last night, where it's like, if he was up there announcing, policies that go against the core of the Democratic Party, I totally understand. Like sitting in here, like that 13-year-old boy, it would be totally like normal for him to go home and go, "So, Dad, can you explain why, so many of those people looked like me? So many, like, why were they sitting on their hand? Why were they mad at me? Did I do something wrong?" Like you would feel that. You would see the reaction, and it would be totally normal for a kid to not fully comprehend the larger context of this. Like, there are some things, and they proved last night that no, the thing doesn't exist that makes you come back to humanity and go, okay, this, we, at the end of the day, there are certain things that are just too sacred.
Yeah,
and one
we're
of
all
them is
human.
Spitting in the face of a 13-year-old with terminal brain cancer. Like, that is just so, I don't even know how to explain it.
How do you defend it? I would love to hear a Democrat defend it, honestly. Like you said, I mean, I don't understand, but I understand them not standing for the chick who got, a concussion and had brain damage from a dude hitting a volleyball into her head. I understand you not standing for her, I guess, because your platform is that you want dudes to be in women's sports,
Yeah.
but not standing for that is just beyond anything I can comprehend. It's
Yeah.
so weird. They're just gross people.
I really honestly believed that, and I really saw it with Rush Limbaugh when he died, and it really, seeing what I saw on Twitter that day about like good, finally burn in hell, like that kind of attitude, where it's like, holy shit,
Yeah.
man, these people are
They're evil.
like, I can't imagine feeling that way about someone. I just, there may be people where it's like, man, I ain't losing sleep over this one,
Right.
if something
Right.
happened. But the
Yeah.
idea that I would go on social media and say like, yeah, fuck Adam Schiff. Now he's finally burning in hell.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's not that world doesn't exist where I'm
Right.
gonna. But I've seen too many like good, decent hearted people have that kind of attitude
Yep.
with stuff like this, and it's
Yeah.
just it's so, I don't know, it's so disappointing. It's so
And
tragic.
all over because you disagree with them, not because they've done something horrible. Like, I think what I've said, we can all get behind a public square hanging of a pedophile.
Right.
Something that we can all get behind because pedophilia is terrible. But when it's just because you don't like who I voted for, you're happy I'm dead? I've got a
Yeah.
family. What are you even saying right now?
Yeah. No, we see it. I know you see it. The people
Mhm.
posting like,
People have said it to
God.
me. People have said that to me. Like, they want me dead. My family won't be sad when I'm dead.
Yeah.
My mom probably wishes I was dead. Oh, the amount of times people have said your mom probably wishes she swallowed is
Yeah.
astronomical.
Yeah. No, I see it. I really, and maybe it's just naive as shit of me, but I really thought that people could look at someone with their differences, and at the end of the day, when they die, you go, well, I disagree with it. Like Ted Nugent does a tremendous amount of good through charitable organizations. Rush Limbaugh did. I always kind of had this belief in the back of my head, like, you know what, there's a context to our existence, and a lot of us have done a lot of things you don't brag about, but you would hope someone would go to bat for you, and at the end of the day, that's a sad thing. It is going to be a celebration like you can't imagine when Donald Trump dies, for instance, and it's
Oh, yeah.
fucking
Oh, God, yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, he's 78 years old.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
But they're the good
Right.
they're the good ones. They're the good people who just, show such deep humanity and respect for their fellow man. Yeah, they're the good
So
ones.
I'll go through the list of some of these guys. The White House invited Allison and Lauren Phillips, the mother and sister of Lake and Riley. Nothing there. Alexis Nungare, whose 12-year-old daughter Jocelyn was killed by two individuals who entered the country illegally. And I believe she got a park named after her, a national park. I mean, that's an easy one.
That's
That's
cool.
a no-brainer too. No sweat off your back.
Another minority, by the way.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
a minority.
And it's nothing to get up and clap for that. It doesn't affect you in the least. It's not a policy that ruins your, that goes against your core beliefs. You named a park after someone who was tragically murdered at 12 years old. Like, really? Really? No, fuck that family. Fuck their pain. Screw them. It's remarkable. Roberto Ortiz.
You know what's crazy though is if that happened to any of those people's kids, they would be pulling strings to get them charged federally and the death penalty and all of the above.
Yeah. The Mark Fogel and his mother, Malphine, 96-year-old woman. He was released from Russia last month as part of an exchange brokered by the Trump administration. He's a teacher from Pennsylvania, had been detained more than 3 years in a Russian prison. Also, Trump had met his mother. They're from Butler, Pennsylvania, and had met with her minutes before taking the stage in Butler, Pennsylvania back in July when he was shot. For Christ's sakes. Nah, nothing. Fuck him, and screw her. This 96-year-old woman needs help to her feet.
Right.
Two guests. highlighted Trump's executive actions to ban transgender athletes from women's sports. Peyton McNabb is the one you referenced that we've watched the video here, takes an absolute fucking cannon of a shot to the face. Some level of paralysis kind of ended her career. Yep. And I don't understand that one. January Littlejohn as well, sued a Florida school board after officials socially transitioned her daughter to a different identity without her and her husband's knowledge. And by the way, it's so rare. It's just so rare. Why do you even care about this stuff? Why do you even care? Like, you know what else is rare? Like if you're going in context, I've said it before, OJ literally met millions of people. Millions. He only murdered 2 of them. Mm-hmm. Like, it is super fucking rare. Super, almost like 99.9% of the times when throughout his life, when OJ met people, it was fine. It was a great interaction. Nothing happened. What are you worried about? What are you talking about? Scott Peterson probably met millions of people himself, went to work yes, okay, Lacey and Connor, his unborn baby and wife, probably killed them and dumped them in the San Francisco Bay, but it's so rare. Yeah. It's so rare.
Yeah, and he's not a danger to the public, only his wife. And if he's not married, who cares?
Attitude of why are we talking about this? It's so rare. So one girl got paralyzed, getting bombed in the face. Like, what is the deal?
Right.
What is the problem here? Like, where does that end? Where do you go with that argument? It just doesn't.
Nowhere, which is why they will continue to lose if they support that position.
The cool thing is, that was broadly received well by the American public last night. I didn't know how this would be received. Yes. CNN did a poll, found 69% of watchers had a positive reaction to that speech last night. 44% had a very positive reaction. A survey from CBS News and YouGov found similar. 76% of watchers reported having a positive response. Most speech watchers, 63%, reported to CBS News that Trump spent time on issues important to each viewer. The speech also elicited feelings of hope, 68%, pride, 54%. Trump himself came off as presidential and entertaining to 74% of viewers. Inspiring to 71%, unifying to 62%. Roughly 3 in 4 viewers agreed with the decision to have Al Green tossed on his ass and thrown out of there for decorum. That was early on. The announcement that
I think Mike Johnson was really excited to do that.
He was he got on that gavel.
The way he was banging that
he was
gavel.
Like he was getting after it. It was great.
Yeah. He could not. He's like, that's your warning. And then Vance is just like,
get him out of here.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
They've had enough. They've just fine. If this is how we're going to do it, then fine. We will plow fucking right through.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. And you know what? I will go on and say, dare anyone call me a hypocrite? If and when if they want to employ that same tactic when there's a Democrat president, and if they want to throw out Marjorie Taylor Greene for being ghetto and doing stupid shit, I don't care. No. Go ahead. If that's a rule that you can throw out people who are being unruly, get them out of there.
I
don't
totally
care what side they're on.
Totally agree. I would have no problem with that either. If it's like, you know what, there's a time and a place. Don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. In that setting, you can be an asshole 99% of the time. You can keep it together for an hour. In an hour, you can go out in those hallways and you can blah, blah, blah to all the fucking cameras.
Bingo.
And say whatever you want.
Exactly.
But be a pro. Act like you've been there. Now, my guess is those numbers are so high. I don't know what their polling guidelines were, if it's strictly that. My guess is there's a lot of people that refuse to even watch. They don't want to know. They don't want to hear a word coming out of this orange evil Hitler. And so that's just where they sit on it. And so you know,
some people hate watch it though. Like, oh, I got to see what this evil monster is saying. And how I can be disgusted even more. I mean, I saw ridiculous liberal people on my Facebook mainly.
Facebook, it's weird.
You know, who were
it's weird.
Yeah. I have very different algorithms on Facebook and X. It's kind of crazy, but you know, they were being outraged throughout the night, so they were for sure watching because they just want to they want to be mad at everything.
And I totally get the hate watch. It's a bus. She said, "Oh, Henson, his wife is in that room." She knew he was going to come on here and we were going to talk about that stuff, and so she's like, "Man, I'm settled in. She's not moving." So this is how liberal.
Oh yeah, she's a liberal.
Yeah. She's hard in the paint, but
yeah,
it's crazy. One of his big announcements last night: the capture of a terrorist behind the attack at Kabul's airport, Abbey Gate, during the 21 withdrawal of Afghanistan from Afghanistan. So Mohammed Sharia Bob, who the fuck knows, was captured. Trump, I love this. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. I am with him there, and I'm glad he said that. I have long said that is as embarrassing. Like, and I was trying to think, like, what are, like, if you think of moments in U.S. history, what are the most embarrassing? What would they be? And I was hard pressed to think of stuff. You can talk about, our involvement in this or in Iraq, the decisions made to go
9/11 is a pretty big embarrassment.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball bigly on 9/11 because all the departments knew about it. They just weren't talking to
communicating.
each other. So, I'd say that was a big one.
I would say you could throw in Bill and Monica.
Yeah.
As far as like embarrassed, and you know, I've always said, like, I don't give a shit. I'm assuming a world leader.
Yeah.
He's either a megalomaniac or he's a fucking horn dog. That's what those types of people are.
Yeah.
So you know, I'd rather have a fucking guy that loves getting blown as much as he can than some guy that wants to Putin and dominate the world, you know?
Right.
Like totally. But as far as like, you can't get caught, you know, you can't get caught.
Yeah. And when you do, you just gotta take your medicine.
Yeah, man. I was getting blown by her. You just got to take that and move on. Like, what are you gonna do, man? I'm a powerful guy, and I was getting my dick sucked.
Yeah,
you know. So, but you could talk about that. That withdrawal in Afghanistan was horrifying, and I think he made the point last night too. Not the fact that we withdrew from Afghanistan. Nobody had a problem with that. It was the way you pulled that off, leaving billions of dollars in weapons and equipment over there. I'll never get the images out of my head of people hanging on that fucking plane.
Oh
like
my God.
it's as far as I'm concerned, it's the single most embarrassing moment in American history. I can't think of one
really bad.
I don't know. You just thought better of them.
Yeah. I gotta say, the announcement of the basically our version of the Iron Dome. Now that is badass.
Yeah,
he said he announced that when he was kind of talking about the army people that were in the room. He was saying he wants to build like our own Iron Dome. He's like, there's no reason. He said, who wanted to do it? Was it Reagan wanted to do it? And
yeah, that sounds right. I think it was Reagan.
The technology wasn't there yet. And he was like, the technology exists. Other countries have it. We should have it. We're going to build it with American people, with American, you know, supplies, and we're going to get that done. So I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a few things. I mean, English as the language of America, no problem with that. You know? Yeah, there were.
What about when they announced that teenager who was getting got accepted to West Point, and then our buddy DJ, is that his name? DJ comes from behind and gives him a high five. That was so. I was just like, oh my God, what a cutie
awesome
pie.
What did you think of Michigan Rep. Elisa Slotkin and giving her response?
I actually did not watch it.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. I thought when she came out, they were like, well, she's more moderate, and, you know, they're going to have to figure out what their fight is. And when she first started, I was like, okay, maybe she was talking about, you know, I grew up in a household where my dad was a Republican and my mom was a Democrat. And she seemed kind of normal. And then she, so this is the thing where the someone on the other side gives a response and they pick some idiot. You know, it's usually someone you've never heard of. And they'll be usually at a cafe in their local town. You know, she's from Michigan and she gave her response. She says, she took issue with Trump proudly announcing America's back. She denied this, attempting to use fear to convince Americans that Trump's policies will not help them. Look, the president talked a big game on the economy, but it's always important to read the fine print. So do his plans actually help Americans? Not even close. Trump is trying to deliver an unprecedented giveaway to his billionaire friends. Oh, that's what this is. So Trump's gone through all of this so we can bilk a few dollars off the top to give to his billionaire friends. He's on the hunt. Right. I didn't know what he was doing, but now Elisa Slotkin has it figured out.
Now you know.
He's on the hunt to find trillions of dollars to pass along to the wealthiest in America. And to do that, he's going to make you pay in every part of your life. Grocery and home prices are going up, not down. And he hasn't laid out a credible plan to deal with either of those. So they do care about prices, and all of a sudden. His tariffs on allies like Canada will raise prices on energy, lumber, and cars and start a trade war that's going to hurt manufacturing farmers. She also mentioned the way Trump and J.D. Vance handled the Oval Office meeting with Vladimir Zelensky. President Trump loves to say peace through strength. That's actually a line he stole from Ronald Reagan. But let me tell you, after the spectacle that just took place in the Oval last week, Reagan is rolling in his grave. We all want an end to the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood the true strength required America to combine our military and economic might with moral clarity. And that scene in the Oval wasn't just a bad episode of reality TV. It summed up Trump's whole approach to the world. Trump believes in cozying up to dictators like Putin and kicking our friends like Canada in the teeth.
Jesus. I'm so glad I didn't watch it.
So, she made some bold points there about the Oval Office meeting with Vladimir Zelensky. And he responded last night on Twitter, and I'll read you what his response was. I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace. None of us wants an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get to a peace that lasts. We are ready to work fast to end the war, and the first stages could be the release of prisoners, ban on missiles, drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately, if Russia will do same. Then we want to move very fast through all next stages and to work with U.S. to agree to a strong final deal. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. And we remember the moment when things changed, when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this. Our meeting in Washington at White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to. It is regrettable it happened. It's time to make things right. We would like future cooperation and communication to be constructive. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it in any time, in any convenient format. We see this agreement as a step toward greater security and security guarantees, and I truly hope it will work effectively.
They're like, can we e-sign it? Send me over an e-sign. This need not be done in person.
So, yeah, it's hilarious. Can we be more thankful and grateful? And how fast can we get the team back together and sign this shit?
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
So,
it's so funny because it's so clear that it's so clear that the Dems had this plan with Zelensky of don't accept his help. You need more. It's apparent in her speech. Same thing. Like she's touting that same line. And Zelensky's over here going, no, I did. I got bamboozled by you guys for a minute. And then I got back to reality. And my people were like, what the fuck did you just do? And I'm not going to play along anymore. I'm not towing your party line. You can say that all you
Yeah.
want, but I'm here to tell you we're ready to work with you and we're ready to sign the deal. Send it over.
Yeah. I think it would be in everybody's best interest if you took a fucking pause for a second. Just if you go in with the idea that, oh my God, every word that comes out of someone's mouth is meant to be harmful and destructive to everything, you're gonna get caught up in shit like this.
Right.
Like, I knew that the fact of the matter is Zelensky was going to come back to the table. I didn't expect it to be quite that groveling and immediate. Like, oh shit, So I can push back and try to be tough guy, but when that tough guy doesn't just fall over and bend like Biden would, when that doesn't happen, now what do you got?
Mike, what do you think the scene was in the limo or whatever he was in the SUV when he got kicked out of there and Zelensky had to go face his people? What do you think they said to him? In their angry accent.
Who knows?
They were just probably like,
it was,
what the fuck did
you
fucking
fucking midget retard. Yeah. What the fuck did you just do, asshole? Like, unbelievable.
Oh my God.
I would say the same thing, these tariffs, when you're looking at Canada, Mexico, China, take a fucking second to understand what the play is. My guess is you're going to see a lot of people come back to the table and want, like, there's bluster. Like, before you run off to Twitter and announce this is the most catastrophic thing you've ever heard. Yeah. Oh my God, lumber's going to go through the roof. Steel's going to, oh my God, how will we ever survive this? Take a beat.
Yeah.
Take a beat and see what the play, like, he's explained all this in his book. I mean,
and like, if you haven't even taken an economics class before, can you just pause on giving us any kind of feedback on fucking tariffs? Like, you went to school for gender ideology and you're trying to talk to us about tariffs. Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have the video there, Garrett, on the breakdown of what's going on with the tariffs in Canada and Mexico? It's kind of a little cartoon thing.
Yeah.
That I thought was pretty good. And I'm sure people take issue with it, but a lot of people are getting something out of it. So why don't we?
War has officially begun because Canada, Mexico, and China are pissed and have now all announced their own plans on how to retaliate against Trump's tariffs. So what the hell is going on? Well, you see, yesterday Trump's promised 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China officially kicked in. What that means is that any goods sent from these countries to the United States will now cost companies 25% more, or 10% in China's case. So for example, if a Canadian business sent a car to the US that cost $50,000, today US companies will pay a $12,500 tariff at the border. So the price of your once $50,000 car is now actually $62,500. Why would Trump purposefully make things more expensive for Americans? Well, two main reasons. The first is more of a longer-term, unguaranteed benefit, but it would be to change consumer habits to buy more American-made products and incentivize more international companies to manufacture in the U.S. In theory, that means a stronger U.S. economy, more stable jobs, and less dependence on foreign countries. The second reason for imposing these tariffs would be to use them as a tool to pressure Canada, Mexico, and China into doing what Trump wants. Some of these things that he's publicly mentioned include renegotiating trade deals, stopping illegal immigration, and the flow of fentanyl. There's also the far-fetched idea of Canada becoming a state of America. But here's where things get interesting, because instead of just doing what Trump wants, Canada has clapped back with a 25% tariff of their own, and Mexico said they're doing the same but haven't announced the percentage yet. China reacted a little differently by preparing to file a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization.
Oh, fuck off.
So why is Trump not backing down? Just listen to this. In 2023, Canada sent 76% of all of their exports to the United States. That accounts for roughly 19% of their entire GDP. In 2024, Mexico sent 78% of all of their exports to the United States. That makes up 37% of their entire GDP. But for America, their exports to both countries combined only make up roughly 2.7% of their entire GDP, So simply put, even if they do retaliate, getting into a tariff war with the United States would hit Canada and Mexico much harder. Trump knows this, and he's using it.
Yeah.
Very well done video.
Yeah. He's not 100% right on the cars thing. Like a tariff would make a $50,000 car $62,000.
Yeah.
Like it's not
but
quite
it
that
gives you
simple.
the general idea of like the purpose
Right.
behind it, what it is, you know, because
Right.
again, 95% of the people who are bitching about it have no idea behind it.
And I know I'm kind of ignorant on some of this stuff too, but I'm willing to take a beat and go, my guess is people are going to understand the larger point and circle back. Nobody wants a fucking, like some sort of trade war with Canada or Mexico. We all understand what it is. But, Ontario responded, they're banning alcohol from the United States, wiped from the shelves. This is the push. Doug Ford, I guess, is their premier there in Ontario. He also ripped up the contract between Elon Musk, Starlink, and Canada. They were quick to put in a series of retaliatory steps. Ontario Premier Doug Ford ordered LCBO, which is their liquor, whatever. I think they have certain stores they can sell in, to wipe American-made alcohol from the shelves and catalogs. Took its website offline for a period of time to remove all U.S. booze. As the exclusive wholesaler, American brands will no longer be available in the LCBO catalog, meaning other retailers, bars, and restaurants will no longer be able to restock U.S. products. This is an enormous hit to the American producers. Elsewhere, they're canceling its $100 million contract with Musk's SpaceX company to provide Starlink satellite internet to thousands of homes in northern Ontario. Musk's response was, "Oh well."
Want to know who all of this affects more than the United States and Elon are the people of Canada, because as you could see from that video, we export very little to Canada. So them saying that we're banning, that's not going to, we'll go sell that elsewhere. We'll go, whatever. It's not going to affect us that much. And Elon, the dude doesn't need Ontario, Canada. Stop it.
No, it's just silly. And honestly, it's cute. $100 million deal. Like, even if it was $100 billion deal, you'd be like, oh, wow. Like, $100 million is your trump card. That's your play. You're tearing up. Okay, so what does that mean? That people in rural parts of Canada can't get fucking connected to the internet?
Yeah.
I'm like, do you think financially you've made a statement here to Elon Musk?
Right.
Is that's the troll here?
Right.
Okay. Like, holy shit. I hope that's
they'll be back.
I mean,
they'll be back
that's just
when he gets
silly.
all the calls from his constituents who are like, I can't get on the fucking internet, asshole. Can you get Starlink back?
Yeah. So they tore up that contract. My guess is that'll be back in place in no time.
I hope he disconnected the satellites immediately. Like, I hope it's already done.
Right?
I hope it's already done.
It's unclear how much it would cost Ontario to break its already inked deal, but Ford said canceling it was a point of principle. If they come out and sue us, so be it. I want to inflict as much pain as we possibly can until we get a good deal.
What?
Again, $100 million to someone like Elon Musk. If you think that's like the play, okay.
Fucking reroute those satellites to like Zambia or something. Get them out of Canada.
Yeah, I mean, Elon gave Starlink for free, okay, to
Ukraine,
LA during the wildfires, Ukraine, hurricanes during Milton and Helene, for like the rest of the year for free. Just take them. Yeah. Hospitals in Gaza are using it under some bullshit deal like Hamas can't use these. And it's like, okay, very good. He's
something
been
tells
giving
me Hamas has gotten the password for the Wi-Fi by now.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. I'm like, I don't know who's checking up to make sure none of these fucking dipshits are on there, but that's just my guess. But I don't know. It just seems like a silly play. Like, yeah, there very well may be some. My guess is you do the bluster thing, you look tough for people. But I can't get over this idea. Someone's going to have to explain it to me slowly, like that someone like Musk and Trump, they're in it for themselves, to enrich themselves. Like, I don't think people understand just how much money you're talking about. Like this idea that trying to line their own pockets, like to go through what they've gone through. Elon Musk had the fucking dream existence, worth more money. He's currently right now worth $354 billion. How much is $354 billion? $354 billion is the equivalent of 354,000 million. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had $354 billion, you could buy 11,800,000 cars at 30 grand each, or 1,770,000 $200,000 houses. If you were to travel 354 billion miles, you could fly around the world over 14 million times, or take a round trip to the moon 740,000 times. If you could save 100 grand a year, it would take you 3.5 million years to save $354 billion. If you could save 10 grand every day, it would take you 96,986 years to save $354 billion.
But Mike, he wants my tax refund.
Yeah, he does. He wants to get, he needs it. I don't know what you made, but there's probably a couple grand there.
Easy.
That's owed to you, perhaps.
Easy.
And he could look at that stuff. He might even get your social security number.
Yeah.
You thought about that? I mean,
I lose sleep about it.
If you could live
think
for
about what he's doing with all the social security numbers of the people who have like 500 credit scores. I mean, he must just be going crazy.
Yeah, going crazy. If you could live for 354 billion minutes, you would live until you were 673,000 years old. Okay? I don't think Elon is worried about your $100 million Starlink deal.
Yeah.
I just don't.
He could buy Canada. So,
yeah,
whatever.
So good luck with that. I understand the bluster, and I honestly, I'm not interested in offending. Like there's such a line between there's such a relationship between Canadians and Americans, and
especially
it really
here.
especially where, I mean, we all know, we talked about it yesterday, and I think this will work itself out. Honestly, I really do. I think that people will get wise. Just like this will play out, just like Zelensky. In my opinion, this will play out like Zelensky, and it's like, okay, we've come to an agreement on some things, and you get the structure that Trump's been talking about since the 80s. By the way, he hasn't changed his thoughts.
That's
on
what
this
I was
stuff.
just about to say. It's like, I know people love to say, oh, he's filed bankruptcy and some of his companies have failed. Like it or not, the dude's a successful businessman. Okay, he knows how to negotiate. He's not dumb. He knows who has the power, and he can get it done. So to act like this isn't a business negotiation, and he's the one that you would want negotiating. He's a very good businessman, and they all thought that prior to 2016.
Yeah. Well, we all knew it with the bankruptcy argument. And if you know anybody that runs businesses that is an entrepreneur, like those guys, like it's shocking and how brazen they are with like, oh, that's not going the way I want it. Fucking declare bankruptcy. We'll use that as a tax write-off. And it's just that's just a thing. I'm not trying to defend anybody, but this idea, like all these bankruptcies,
it's a strategy. It's like a business strategy to do that.
I know people that have done it.
It's not like, oh my God, I'm bankrupt, and I have to file bankruptcy. It's not like the standard mom and pop who are legitimately filing for bankruptcy. It's not those things are not the same.
No.
It's a business strategy. His accountant was probably like, you need to file for bankruptcy on this company. Otherwise, you're going to be fucked.
Yeah, you're going to be upside down. This will be a huge tax break in the it's a game, and businessmen are very aware of this. It's not just ineptitude and oh God, the guy doesn't know what he's doing. Like, no, I personally know business guys that have absolutely done this strategy. Like they know that it's nothing,
100%.
I find it interesting, the stuff that's coming out now. It's very similar to Jake Tapper's upcoming book, Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. that book is an admission of lying. Okay. That to me, and I don't know how anyone sees it any other way. That's what that is. Chuck Todd did he's doing a podcast now because everybody is. Joined the founder of the Lincoln Project, or co-founder, Steve Schmidt, on the Warning podcast this week. And I thought it's worth listening to. And this is really the core of so much of this. When you're talking about the problem with the media, like think of Chuck Todd, okay? Host of, what was he, Meet the Press, or one of those stupid Sunday shows that is as like never Trumper as they get, spinning everything he can to try and torch this guy and prop up Joe Biden. Like that, all you have is your word, is your credibility. You can be wrong, but people have to trust that you believe what you're saying. That's the trick. That's the gig. It's why podcasts are thriving. But here they are talking about Joe Biden.
It is time for them to move on from Schumer. But this is why I go back and say the Democratic parties, Joe Biden never should have been there in the first place, right? Number one, he shouldn't have run for president. I completely got so angry at Joe Biden, the man, when I read the transcript of the Hunter Biden trial. And when I realized that not one, not two, but three Biden children, and I count Bo's widow, were all dealing with drug problems in 2018. And Joe Biden said, now's a perfect time to run for president, because who cares about our family? I have to tell you something about Joe Biden. There's this mythology about Joe Biden that the man cared so much. It's all bullshit. This man supposedly cared so much about his family that he commuted every day. Guess what? This man cared so much about his political career that he commuted every day, right? Like I could take the same fact, and it created a myth, and he did it for 40 years. God bless him, that he was this incredible family man. And instead, what he really was a craven political animal that it was desperate. The man considered or ran for president every 4 years he was eligible. You know why he didn't run in 76? He wasn't 35 yet. That's the only reason.
I literally made a room gasp full of people. And I prefaced what I said that made them gasp with this. And I said, literally, I take a backseat to nobody in a country of 340 million people of my criticism of Donald Trump. Nobody, right? And I don't think it's polemic criticism. I think I have been correct. And I think I ran not what became the grift, but a political organization that was incredibly effective, right, in beating Donald Trump in 2020, right? The Lincoln Project, before it became, unfortunately, something that pockets 90 cents of every dollar. There's an old saying, right, that every cause becomes a business, right, becomes a racket. But what I said to the group that made them gasp, I said, I have 5 kids. And if I had to leave 12-year-old alone, and my choices, and part of my conservatism, like small c, is like, I just accept that we live in an imperfect, fallen world, right? I'm a pragmatic person, right, who tries to be idealistic, right? But it's like working out, right? I'm a default pessimist.
Emphasis on the more, right? More perfect union. We're working.
But in that imperfect, fallen world, if I had to leave the kids with someone, and my choices are Hunter Biden, or Ashley Biden, or Don Jr., and Eric and Laura Trump, like, I'm dropping the kids off at Don and Eric and Laura's house.
Well, I'll do Eric's house, not Don's house.
Right.
I have a feeling Don and Hunter have the same problem.
Okay. For overnight.
Yeah.
Just put them to bed early.
Okay. I love this too. This equation that Don Trump Jr. is somehow like Hunter Biden. Like, no, we have confirmed video evidence of this guy fucking every prostitute in the world, treating them like shit, smoking crack with them. Like, I don't know where the evidence against Don Jr. is, but
they
whatever.
so badly
want Don
Trump Jr. to be who Hunter Biden is. And like, hey,
Yeah.
FYI,
Oh.
Don Trump Jr. has a child, Kai, who spoke at several of the events. I've seen her she is a very smart, put together.
Yeah, she's great.
She's beautiful, great golfer, like good head on her shoulders. He's the dad. I mean, like, what are you even saying here?
Yeah.
He has a pretty decent track record. I think you could drop your brat off at Don Trump Jr.'s house.
I'd love to hear from so at the crux of so many of the arguments that we make and the problems I have with the media and what they've done, how poorly they behave, that is beyond shameful in my world. Jake Tapper's got a book coming up about the cover up. Dude, you orchestrated the cover up. You did that. You personally, not like your station. I mean, you. Like Steve Schmidt and dipshit there, Chuck Todd, like, you understand, coming out with all of this now is exactly what people like me and Amy have been saying for years.
You have no credibility.
What changed?
None. You have zero credibility now, because you would have been brave had you come out a year, 2 years ago and said all of this.
Yeah.
Because Hunter Biden hasn't changed. He hasn't gotten worse over those 2 years. In fact, he's probably gotten better. So for you to now say in 2025, you'd rather leave your kids with Eric Trump over Hunter Biden, you were just recently defending Hunter Biden. So the fact that, like you said, Mike, the fact that they're saying it now is so cowardly. And I can't imagine how if I were a Democrat listening to them, I'd be like, wait, what? What are you saying? You told me the exact opposite. How can you say that now?
You ginned up half the country to believe that there was some existential threat, and at the same time, you propped up a corpse. And I don't give a shit what anyone says. He was that corpse in 2020.
100%. He campaigned from his basement.
And so, And people like us said this in 2019 and 2020, that, hold on, guys, this is a problem. This is a real problem. And you cast us out of society. You threw us out of polite conversation, and you ginned up and broke people all over the country who still believe that Russiagate happened, that Hunter Biden is someone you should just feel sorry for, and Joe Biden's this honest, good man. Joe Biden's one of the worst humans ever. He just is. And now you feel comfortable saying it. Did I lose you there, Amy? Have I lost the Garrett?
Yeah, I'm here. She looks a little frozen.
Is that her end or our end?
It's her end. You and I both look like we're running fine. Chat seems to be going well.
Okay. But this is sort of the crux, and maybe she'll pop back up. This is really the crux of what I've talked about.
Gosh, was that on my end? How weird is that?
Yeah, probably the weather. But this is really the crux of all of it. Is these people feeling comfortable? Like, I don't know who you have to be as a human being to push the narrative you did and cause the destruction you did that I don't know will recover in my lifetime. I don't know that it's fixable in my lifetime, the damage that has been done by the Chuck Todds of the world and the Jake Tappers of the world. I don't say that lightly. I mean that they gaslit and lied every day for years to create a narrative. It's why you're seeing attempts on people's lives that will continue. It's why you see people cheering the downfall and the hatred and the senseless murders. It's what helped create this. That media served a role, and they did this. Yeah. They did this. I hold them personally responsible for what they did. To have the balls to come out and do a podcast now going, oh yeah, everything we called those people insane for, it was all true, by the way. And someone, I can't believe it got this far.
Right,
like, what?
Like, would you, if
insanity.
I guarantee that both of those men have called Trump Hitler at some point. Okay.
Oh, 100%, especially Chuck Todd. Well,
Would
both of them,
you
100%.
send your kid to Hitler's son's house for them
To live with a
like
fear?
would
Yeah.
you wouldn't send your kid to Hitler's son's house for them to babysit. And like you called him Hitler and now you're saying he raised better kids than Biden did. Like what are you even saying? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's the further acting like now, like you're gonna take a bold stance,
Yeah.
like, always knew it. This Biden trying to sell him as a good guy. He's always been a piece of shit who only cared about power and blah, blah. Like, that's what Chuck Todd was saying there. It's like, yeah, but the people that were saying that are
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You. I didn't say that. I didn't go to the lengths and the depths that you did. It's why your stations are being they're blowing everybody out. Why you don't have a gig
Right.
anymore? Not because people wouldn't watch, but because they know now that you were full of
Right.
shit. And so this is like, I'm sorry, there's not a chance I could watch Chuck Todd wherever he ends up on another network. You know, this is what he does. He's a talking head. He's an opinion guy or whatever. Like, there's nothing. The first thing I would do with anything he said was like, okay, now I got to do research to see if there's any chance any of that
Right.
is real. Like, that's what you
Right.
create. Like, and I'd be the first one here saying it. If Tucker Carlson did that, I would feel the same way about Tucker Carlson. Like, I can't point to, that guy lies more than like what?
And
Exactly.
it's not like they're even
Steven Crowder. He's the most dishonest.
It's not like they're even coming out and saying, gosh, I was wrong. I was bamboozled. I was fooled.
Yeah.
They lied to me. They're couching it as they've always felt this way. You know, like I know for Tucker changed his position on the war in Iraq. You know, you could probably pull up old footage of Tucker and he would be championing that war. But today he says, I was so wrong on that. I was so wrong. We should not have done that. I've learned more. So I guess if you want to come out now and act like you've made this grand discovery, you have to admit that you were wrong. You can't couch it as I've felt this way the whole time. I just didn't say it. Like, it's so disingenuous.
That would be, it'd be hard. It'd be really hard. But these are good actors. They're good communicators. They're good on camera. You probably could at least calm the waters, but it would absolutely require, like, you know what? I so believed in the danger of this person that I was willing to go to these great lengths. Like, it was that existential to me. And yeah, I was not honest in my reporting and my delivery about his condition, who he was as a human being. And, you know, I'm embarrassed by that. You know, my job, I'm entrusted with being honest to people, and this whole thing falls apart if you can't trust what I'm saying. And, you know, I probably learned in 6 months into Russiagate that it was nonsense. I probably learned, you know, 1 year into this, that Joe Biden was not operating with a, you know, the way he was in the 80s mentally.
All you had to do was
and
watch
I
a
should have said
video.
something then, and I yeah.
And
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if I've
And
been
I
saying,
wasn't brave enough to say
like,
it, you know.
if you've ever had a grandparent that had Alzheimer's or dementia, you see all the signs with Joe Biden. The way he just stares, the way that he like would awkwardly laugh when nothing was funny because he doesn't really understand what's going on. That is such a clear-cut sign.
Ghost handshake.
I've just seen it. My grandma had Alzheimer's, and I could see it from a million miles away. And Chuck Todd said in that clip, you know what changed? What changed for me was reading the transcript from the Hunter Biden trial. Hey, Chuck, want to know where you could have gotten that info? The laptop that you said was fake.
Yeah.
All of that was on there. So you actually didn't have to wait for the trial. You could have read that.
And that's a lie anyways. It's a lie. It's a lie that he got it from the transcript. Like, it's hard to explain the level of, like, the team that's around someone on a national scale that is delivering news, they would absolutely know what was going on. Like, that was a clear mandate in the industry to get this guy, and at all costs. That's what that was. And until you're willing to be honest about what transpired, it's falling on deaf ears to me for all of them. For Jake Tapper, like, you did this and you need to own that. There's no there, I don't even know how to say it. And I'm sure there will be other people. There will be more people coming out admitting as they lose jobs, as they lose, realizing they weren't able. The level of gaslighting is incomparable to anything I've ever seen in my life. This is an abused spouse, going, oh, I brought it on myself. It's more my fault than his. Like, it's worse than that.
Right.
Like, you so gaslit people that we're still feeling it. It's still going on. I don't know, man. It's just unbelievable to me. Why don't we do a couple of emails and get out of here? We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Greg on next week. Okay. Subject: goat gotten. Ha ha ha. James apparently claims he got my goat. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, why don't I do those first? Thank you, brother. The Deer Lake Athletic Club in Clarkston has a full gym, fitness classes, 3 pools, some swim lessons, tennis, pickleball, childcare, and lots more. The Backcourt Restaurant inside the Deer Lake Athletic Club has weekly specials like Taco Tuesday, Quizzo every Wednesday, kids meals for just $5. Just go there. Hang out. It's a lot of fun. I've been there many times. The food's amazing. The entertainment's great. The games are great. The staff is amazing. Breakfast on Sundays, bottomless mimosas. They also offer a special Sunday menu after 1. Need to book an event? Call Emily. She can take care of you with all the details. 248-625-8686 or visit them 6167 White Lake Road in Clarkston, or go to their website, deerlake.com. One club for the whole family. And of course, call your insurance expert. You paying too much for health insurance? Are you uninsured? Health insurance is very confusing. Let Nick Matthews handle it for you. He is your insurance expert, and he is an expert in health insurance, life insurance, Medicare supplements. He's an expert, so you don't have to be. Call Nick today, 248-914-1173. Thank you, Garrett, for the reminder heads up. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So, and you can pop in here, Garrett. So goat gotten, and he's laughing. I'm like, what, wait, who got whose goat? Did I obtain yours, or do you believe you procured mine? Like, what happened here? He's claiming I've got yours, but I'll give him back, calling you and Drew Rachel Maddow. So that was the other day, right? He was saying that only Amy was,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know where he was coming from, but apparently, dude, there are people out there that think people like me are way too left-wing. I'm not.
That's insane.
Hardcore. Yeah, I don't get it. But you didn't get my goat, motherfucker. You can't have my goat. Bob says, Fetter woman, scripts and lips. Lips look great.
They do now. They've calmed down. They're a normal size.
Yeah, they look great. Scripts and lips. That addle-brained, hoodie-wearing retard talks a centrist game, but votes with the D's every effing time. Don't fall for centrist-sounding Dems. Your humble and obedient servant. So he's talking about, okay, so this is when I was like, is Fetterman the only one that's making any fucking sense anymore?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what
Yeah. Yeah.
He's saying, yeah, don't fall for, I'm not falling for anything. I understand these people vote in lockstep, but at least it'd be nice to hear. What's that?
I was going to say, can't fall for anything when you just baseline think everybody's full of shit. That's it.
Yeah, and Fetterman's a weird one, but he is at least, I don't know. I'm sure he'll vote the same way, but it's refreshing to hear someone just come on TV and not act like the holy shit, the sky's falling every minute of the day. Like, that's at least some. I mean, we're at a point where it's like, I guess I'll take Fetterman.
Yeah,
like he'll all right. And then someone said, if you have time, Ukraine, if you have time, this is jaw dropping to hear. Kurt writes, And he sent me a link. Honestly, I haven't had time to look at it yet, but I will. It's Jeffrey Sachs talking to EU Parliament. I don't know if either of you have seen that, but my guess is he's great. He's an American economist, advises governments about, economic policy and whatnot. So I will check that out. Thank you for sending the link. And we'll call it there. I wanted to get into Ben Shapiro's letter, but we'll do that maybe tomorrow. His letter to Trump is interesting. Send your own emails, walters@detroitcast.com. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, guys. We'll call it there. I'm going to go get the little guy. So have a great rest of the day, everybody.
See ya.